Well, the time has come to make a tier list of all the Walking Dead seasons. After some thought, I'm confident on the choices being made here today, so here we go. Despite the tier, I just want to say that all these seasons have great moments that added a lot to the show. I'm just here to pinpoint my criticisms towards some stuff, while also talking about my favorites, so here we go. So we got the S. Walker, the great, the decent but needed some work, also decent but needed a lot of work, the bad, and my favorite one, Resident Evil Netflix series levels of bad. Yeah. Anyway, so let's do season by season. We're gonna start off with Season 1. Season 1 encapsulated enough substance in 6 episodes in a perfectly paced runtime. It had the drama, suspense, and enough action all together to introduce us to this universe. It's easily watchable and addictive if you like the comics or if you're a fan of the genre. Next we got Season 2. Walking Dead is known for its overuse of slow burn, and Season 2 started it all. It presented itself in a way that made a lot of people have a burnout from the series. I definitely agree that this series having one episode per week contributed to that factor. To me, especially after rewatching it, I still feel it's a great season that builds up the relationships and fleshes out the characters, showing the hope they started to feel while settling in this farm, and how dangerous the illusion that they're safe is. People complain about the lack of action, but the best element of The Walking Dead is exactly the fact that this is a story of flawed human beings dealing with the zombie apocalypse, where the zombies at some point become just a part of the world that serve to expose their weaknesses and darkness. And with that factor, Season 2 really sets up a lot for the future. I'm gonna put it in great. Oh boy, Season 3. When it premiered, I was really confused with the time frame between Season 2 and Season 3. There's a very odd gap when it comes to location and time. However, my brain kinda turned off a bit from it. I knew for sure they wouldn't address it, so I just went with it. And what we got ahead was a brutal action-packed first episode, and the introduction to Woodbury that is ruled by the governor. As Michonne says, this Jim Jones type of character that we never fully know what he's going to do next. I have to say, in the comics Negan is definitely my favorite, but in the series, the governor was handled differently than in the source material. And aside from some events between him and Michonne that didn't get to be in the series, I feel that they found a perfect balance to its character, showing the darkness that he struggles to maintain inside in front of people, which in some episodes is really hard to read, to the point I thought that they would make him good somehow. The episode Harrow on the Doorpost was such a blast, showing the conflict of ego, the governor defying Rick's morals, showing him that there's a small percentage of both that isn't so different. You got the survivors from two fronts outside, chatting and knowing each other more, and it's ouring since the issue is inside that room.
May I see it? Your stump, I'd like to, see where the amputation was, how high above the bite.
I'm not showing you my leg.
It's important data.
I just met you. At least buy me a drink first.
The ending for this season got me by surprise. I'm not so sure about liking it or not, but at least they expanded this chapter in Season 4 in an incredible way. I'm also gonna put it in great. Season 4 felt so unique after its predecessors, with a tonally different vibe and amazing execution of its themes. Its first half to me was an ingenious approach because it explored how people would act if there were more diseases to deal with in a zombie apocalypse, and how terrifying it is if by accident or arbiter of fate someone died suddenly in the middle of the night and attacked those who were sleeping. These were great elements, therefore the governor's chapter concluding in an incredible episode with heart-wrenching moments. Everything leading up to this was fantastic. The standalone episode showing where the governor went just served to add a lot more to the character. The comics version is expanded completely here, with more grounded aspects to its character study. In its second half, I love how they once again explore how inhuman a human being can be, when faced with life or death hindrances. And there was always this sense of uncertainty, especially for those that know the source material. We know what happens next, but how are they executing it in the series is a question that kept it captivating to watch. This season is definitely going to S. Walker tier, and might be my favorite for sure. It did justice to the comics in some elements, while bringing up something completely new that didn't feel forced, and I respect that. Now, Season 5. Season 5 presented us with completely different characters from what we were used to see. They're broken, they don't trust anyone, and their morals are constantly being questioned by this point. The survival elements here were incredible, and the episode that blew my mind was the one where Rick says the iconic "We are the Walking Dead" line.
Because this is how we survive. We tell ourselves that we are the Walking Dead.
Once they get to Alexandria, Rick begins to be judgmental, and due to his ego, he starts measuring people, which makes sense. In a small-scale situation, some people when facing a difficult time like having to work more hours, lack of time, depression, or any other situation, they become egotistical in a sense that if others didn't go through what they went through, they look down on them. This is a behavior that I've seen happening to some people, and it's difficult to deal with them to a certain point, because in general we're not to blame for others' affairs. It's not healthy to bash others. Here it's exactly what Season 5B is, and the enhanced emotions here are completely justified. So I'm also gonna put Season 5 in great. Lowering the ranks a bit, Season 6 has so many shifts of tone and it plays too much between past and present for my taste. It also has forced lines in the first half that allure to an already established theme, which is Rick's alpha syndrome. This is also something that in the comics happens, but way more subtle than in the series. But this season picks up with episode 9, the Battle of Alexandria, which was vicious and exhilarating. For the Walking Dead followers, this was a surprise because in a normal situation, this episode will be divided in 3. We got characters dying, Carl getting shot, Rick rages against hordes of zombies, and the final battle, which was really satisfying. After that, we get into the Saviors thing, which should have been sooner if we didn't have the W people. And from here, the second half is exciting, until the last episode, which ends with a cliffhanger. I hated it so much. So this season goes to decent but needed some work. Season 7. The first episode, masterclass. From there, the worst antagonist of this season was having one episode per week. Actually, the whole show suffered from it, but this season in particular did not find a proper balance while introducing us the setting presented. One thing it does right is building up this gloomy claustrophobic scenario where characters are mentally trapped due to Negan's manipulative ways. That aspect is really well executed, but the rest falls short due to the pacing. So I'm gonna put this season in also decent but needed a lot of work. Now, Season 8. One would think it would get any better. Season 8 shines in a lot of powerful character moments, but it proved itself to be material that should have been in Season 7. There's a lot of dragging here for sure. I'd say that the final episodes get a lot better, and to me, if they wanted to stretch this like they did, they should have ended Season 7 with Carl's death, and continued with Season 8 with the war ending. Therefore the introduction for the Whispers chapter in the second half would feel a lot better. Decent season, but I was really disappointed with its execution. So I'm also gonna put it in also decent but needed a lot of work. Season 9 started out strong, but always with some dread in mind since we acknowledged that this would be Andrew Lincoln's last season. And knowing how things end in the comics, it started to make sense maybe they would make the Whisper storyline and conclude either with that or have a shorter version of the Commonwealth storyline. And I was so wrong. 2 more seasons in the making, and even more episodes for each. Anyway, I was hoping that they would end the series here, with a proper conclusion for each character arc, Rick will die in a dumb way, but the ending would have been more meaningful. But no, for personal reasons Andrew Lincoln had to leave. But the show continued, but without Rick, supposedly taken by another community. And here the problems began, because since I really don't care about the world beyond and everything after Fear the Walking Dead Season 1, to me it's just very dispersed for a series that will definitely survive without any of these properties. And then there was the promise of movies. And now we're going to have Rick and Michonne reuniting in a spin-off, hopefully wrapping up things in a satisfying way. But that should have been in the main show. Prison Break fans probably understand my feelings towards this. That movie in between, they really didn't need that. But anyway, we got the introduction to the Whispers, excellent actress playing Alpha, Samantha Morton really delivered the terror that this character brings. It's also slightly different from the comics, however, I really didn't mind that. The Whispers storyline started out pretty good and the pacing was giving me hope despite my preference of Rick being in the front line. We had the Spikes episode, the finale with the snow that contributed to incredible cinematography, and then, my friends, then Season 10. Oh, Season 10, my friend. In this season, they expand on what they've started in Season 9B, and everything actually leads to something great but ends poorly. The last episode felt so rushed and uninspired. There was no sense of danger, especially with how they build up the suspenseful situations the characters were in. Isolated in this building, with Alpha's horde around it, a sea of zombies with whispers sprinkled there, cornering our heroes. That ends so quickly, felt like a waste of time honestly. I really don't like that episode. They also stretched this season with more episodes, and Here's Negan is easily the best of those. If you want to know my feelings towards it, I'll leave the review in the description. So Season 9 and Season 10 will be also decent, but needed a lot of work. Now, Season 11, oh boy. Season 11 to me feels like an idea that was conceptualized before but never put into the show, until this point. There is this group of veterans that they faced now, and it just feels very sudden after dealing with the Whispers not so long ago. So I prefer leaving this arc out of the series, despite the good bits. So yeah, Season 11 was the unquote final season, and it was really disappointing in the end. So I'll put Season 11 in also decent but needed a lot of work. Let me know what are your thoughts on this tier list, and feel free to share yours in the comments. Also, if you found my channel and you enjoy my content, consider subscribing, and we'll see each other in the next video. See ya.